Okay, so I believe I have successfully anonymized this. This is from this semester. I've removed some things to make it obvious or not obvious who it is. Let's close that. And let's go through and revise this paper. So our current word count is at 2,664 words. We want to get below 1,500. And I think that we can do that. So we're going to do a quick scan through this document. And then we're going to go through, okay, so let's talk right here first, just formatting wise. This needs to be on its own page. This happens when we switch between word processors if you just enter things down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to insert. We've got our cursor right there, and we're going to go to a page break. Where's my page break here? Or should we insert, or I'm not there. Insert, break, page break. And then we're going to center this works cited page. That part right there. Now you'll note too, we don't have hanging indentations. Oh goodness, I'm on a really wonky keyboard. In fact, let me switch to my normal keyboard. I'm currently on a 40% keyboard, and I don't know how to all the formatting shortcuts on that keyboard. So what I'm going to do here is hit Control to. Oh, that's going to bring me over to that because I'm not on Word. I'll hit Enter tab, and then I'll go here and hit Enter. And that'll do that. And so with that Enter tab, we will get our hanging indentation. This is on Google Docs. If you're on Microsoft Word, which I'll do another one for Microsoft Word later today, it's Control tab to move that. But I'll show you a different way to do that in a second as well. Oops. And it's just a little sort of fuzzy how it works. Like I'm hitting tab there and it's moving it over. So you just kind of, I'm using just enter and tab here. So that was enter tab. Here's enter, and that moves it over. Oops, that was enter that time. That time I had to be tab. Who can say it's just a little bit wonky? That easier way will come in just a second though. You'll also note here this works cited page is not in alphabetical order. We want to make sure we put everything in alphabetical order by author last name, or by the word that first appears. Let's get rid of that dangling page there, right? So this is a number that would go first. We've got a B here. That should move up. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's C. We'll move you up. C, G, A, B, C, D, E. I have to say the alphabet every time I do that. I don't know about you guys. E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And then we have C here. So where do you go, Carmen? A, B, C, A. We'll go before that. And then we have Bolton here. A, B, O. A, B, C. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh, we go there. And Thomas Long. A, B, C, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. And now we've got a few extra spaces to work with there we can get rid of. All right, we have gotten rid of no words, but we've improved our grade by fixing our formatting on our works cited page. We want to swap out this for a real title. We're just going to temporarily go for binge. Oops. Also, I'm not used to writing on. Why is it making caps lock go on? Something is very strange with this keyboard. What have I done? Who can say? Oh, good. We're not caps anymore. And then we've got an extra space here we'll get rid of. And an extra space. Do we have an extra space here? Nope, we don't. Great. A few things to note here. We've got the last name and page number up there. We are rocking some extra spaces here just to make it a little cleaner. We're going to go ahead and get rid of those. It's a long paragraph. And we've got dashes there for some reason. I'm not sure about. Okay. Very good. It says we've gotten rid of a word somewhere. Oh, in our title. There we go. So let's get through this. So binge watching TV shows. We're going to go ahead and capitalize TV here. Like The Walking Dead and Attack on Titan. And then repeatedly. So we can get rid of all this. Binge watching TV shows has become a common thing for the human race to do. So we also have some redundant information here because like chimps and grasshoppers and cars don't binge watch TV shows, to my knowledge. So what we can do is it has become a common thing, and we can get rid of A, and we can get rid of... Oh, it's because my shift key has somehow been mapped to caps lock. That is not cool. How did that happen? Binge watching TV shows has become common. And we can even get rid of has become and say is. So now we're down to 2,647 words. Not only is binge watching shows entertaining, but it also opens up different points of view for people. However, different points of view can be both a good thing and a bad thing. Spending an excessive amount of time watching one thing creates a huge amount of bias towards something that is related to and or against it, creating a shield to what is the truth. So let's talk about the concept, sort of our thesis for this paper. Our thesis is that when we binge watch a lot of one type of content, it creates a bias. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. But let's look at the second paragraph. Spending time binge watching a TV show does not only make you create bias towards what is shown to you, but your own personal beliefs help you create bias as well. So this is basically our thesis again, right? So let's just delete all of that, right? And then let's revise this. So spending time binge watching a TV show, and we can just say binge watching a TV show instead of spending time binge watching a TV show. But I can't do my left shift like normal. That's weird. Binge watching a TV show. Can create bias toward and we'll have to read along to see which specific biases we're talking about later. Binge watching a TV show can create bias, let's say in addition to and say pre-existing beliefs. We need to say biases. Are we really putting a space between pre-existing? Maybe a high. It's not separate like that. I'm swapping to the other keyboard, by the way. Not having a left shift is going to absolutely kill me. Sorry for hearing me swap back and forth. I hope that doesn't mess up the recording. It might, though. Okay, so binge watching a TV show. And let's make that caps. Can create a bias in addition to pre-existing biases. I can create bias. I don't think we need that in addition to biases. You may have gotten these beliefs from people you've come across or even created them yourself, constructing the thoughts and thinking about them over and over, assigning truth to them to make beliefs. Okay, so this source integration here is a little strange. I see where we're going. I need to look at this specific source, though, to see how we got there. So, okay, now I see why we're saying over and over early on, because it's the repetition that is the issue. So, repeatedly binge watching a TV show, and we'll just say TV shows, can create biases So it sounds like what we're saying is we're going from, like when we repeat a thought, it transitions from a thought into a belief, but like the repetition gives it this allure of truth. And I think that's a good point to make. I think we can make it a little more briefly here. So the ideas we get from these shows, repeated again and again, begin to feel like the truth. And then what we would do here is not make it a quote. We would just take that idea, ascribe it to the source, because it's the same idea, without using the quote. When these beliefs come true, your brain, it becomes difficult to or try and change your mind. And the beliefs are what's difficult to change, so we can just say they become difficult to change. Save ourselves a few words there. Even after being exposed to, we haven't mentioned facts. I'm not sure if it's because I deleted it or not. We'll just say counterfacts. Counterfactuals, maybe. We'll just say counter. Yeah. And we can just say exposure. To save some words. Exposure to counterfactuals. It is difficult to make your brain think another way. We can get rid of make your brain and just say to think another way. That is because when beliefs are formed, they are not formed based on research beforehand. Okay, that's not necessarily true. They might be, right? They could be formed on research. So let's throw in the word here necessarily. This good sentence, we're going to change that. We can just say humans commonly instead of the human brain will. Good. When it is your truth, you normally end up sticking to your truth. Good. Makes it difficult. So we can just say being stuck. And I see it's a clever rhetorical move to differentiate between the self and the brain, by the way, because it makes this a diagnosable problem. You can work on fixing your brain, right? And in certain contexts, I would probably keep that phrasing. But in this context, because we're trying to remove words, we're just going to conflate those two things. Even though, again, I agree they're not strictly the same thing. I can probably make this larger, which would make it easier for you guys to see. How do I view? Can I zoom? How do I zoom in? Why am I so bad at this? Ah, there it is. Yeah, that's probably a lot easier to see now. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go ahead and put in a paragraph break here. Being stuck on a certain belief makes it difficult to find and believe evidence to the contrary. Is this quote ending here? I think so. So let's make that a full quote instead of a single one. Let's get rid of the word basically. And obsessed over is pretty strong language. We'll phrase it that way. And we could go a little further by choice, but so let's see if we can get those words back. Being stuck on a certain belief makes it difficult to I want to keep find, because finding it is part of that. Find and believe evidence to the contrary. We're missing a quote here. We're missing some words in this quote. Because this says, being stuck on a certain belief makes it difficult to find and believe evidence to the contrary the already existing belief. Contrary of the already existing belief, contrary to the already existing belief, maybe. But I'm not sure what that quote is, so I can't fix it. So what I would do, I'm just going to bold, italicize, underline this for the author when I send it back to fix that, to fix this section right here. And we don't need to say, but this is known as confirmation bias. We can say, this is known as confirmation bias. Looking for evidence that only supports you will prevent you from looking at a situation objectively from multiple angles, which blocks multiple sides of the story. We probably don't. That's just kind of a rephrasing right there. So let's just get rid of that and do it that way. You may believe your personal beliefs are good to shape how you see things, but that is not at all true. these personal, pre-existing, and everlasting beliefs, the bias towards the TV show will not have come from what you have seen, but what you have experienced. So, let's do pre-existing, comma, fixed beliefs Let's do it that way. Okay. Emotionally feeling a certain way while binge watching TV shows will also. Oops, TV. What's a TB show? It's a tuberculosis show. Hey, look, we're down to $24.98. Emotionally feeling a certain way while binge watching TV shows will also assist your personal beliefs when your brain create biases. Let's see. I get what we're saying here. Let's do it this way. We know we're talking about TV shows now, so let's can. And by putting pre-existing there, we get rid of the need for that at the end. Personal beliefs do play a big factor in how you think, but your emotions are an even bigger factor. Let's see, we can rephrase that. Like this next sentence, we'll leave that one alone. I think I'm just going to rewrite this here to say emotions can be an even bigger factor in determining belief than well, see, now that we phrase it this way, personal beliefs, emotions can't play a bigger factor in forming beliefs than beliefs are in forming beliefs. Or rather, they don't even compete. So let's see what happens when we just take this whole thing out right here. Yeah, I think that works. Good. Okay. Each time you feel an emotion, the emotion sticks with you and causes you to have a greater chance of feeling it again afterwards when coming in contact with what you feel in the first place. Good. When experiencing emotions while watching a TV show, people commonly feel hatred. It could be toward the season, a character, or the plot. The feeling of hatred is the result of a negative assumption belief. Feeling of hatred is a result of negative assumptions, images, and beliefs. I have negative images about a specific of them, maybe, but we got that in quotes, and let's go ahead and end that right there. I like that with the full double quote mark there. About a specific character, even an entire part of the show. Okay, so our process here is okay, we can do this a little more efficiently here. So we're saying you watch it, you feel hatred, that creates biases. Good. Okay. So let's say, for example, when experiencing hatred, see if I can figure out how to, if I remember how to do. No, where is it? So that's that one. There it is. Okay. Trying to find my, I don't actually have dedicated things. Okay, for example, when experience hatred towards a season, a character, or the plot, that feeling results in Negative assumptions, images, and beliefs about a specific character. Part of the show. Citation. Negative assumptions. Let's get rid of images and belief. Create stereotypes. Ingrained stereotypes. Do we need this? Are we going to bring in other people later? No, we don't need that. Okay. This is due to the common negativity in the world. We probably don't need that either. In order for your brain to create the emotions of how you feel, it has to depend on your cognitive thing of behavior, growing, creating your opinion, expressing emotions, whether you notice it or you don't. This makes it highly important to pay attention to another perspective. If you only focus on how you feel, it shields you from knowing the truth. It's been proven to understand another's thought process because we feel so right about how we perceive what is shown to us. You create bias as mindfully. Okay, I see what we're saying there. I'm going to come back to that, though. Okay, so good. However, some people do not comprehend what they previously viewed properly, so they end up spreading what is called disinformation. Sharing disinformation also encourages defensive behavior to try and prove their point. People use disinformation to... I have something on my screen here. People use to appeal to emotion that exploit opinion. Okay, so we're transitioning to disinformation here. People are more likely... Sorry, scanning through really quickly to see what we want to keep and what we want to jettison here. Let's make this italicized. Okay, so now we're on specifically about disinformation from Attack on Titan. Okay. Plot summary, plot summary. I should put a spoiler alert here. Sorry, spoiler alert. Okay, got it. So, I think that what we're missing here, we've got all the pieces, but what we're missing is well, all but one piece, right? So it seems to me that what we're missing, and let's do this. This is going to help us arrange our information. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to open up a temporary chat in ChatGPT so it's not used for training. Say, please outline the following text with at least one sentence per paragraph, but not more than to prioritize simplicity. And then we'll paste that in. No, I would not like a short even more. So this is perfect. So we've got an outline here. Let's copy this outline. Let's go back here. And we'll just go down to the... I'll just do this in a new document. We'll paste that in. Zoom in here. Okay, so we've got our outline. So introduction to biases from binge watching, confirmation bias and fixed beliefs, emotions strengthen biases, spreading disinformation online, the danger of one-sided narratives, the example of Attack on Titan, viewers' misunderstanding of Attack on Titan, and the brain's role in defending beliefs. So I think what we have here actually is kind of a reversal of the order. And we've got our stuff up here, which is basically our lit review, where we're talking about like confirmation bias, how emotion produces bias, and how bias causes us to spread disinformation online. Then we've got the example of Attack on Titan and how viewers misunderstand things because, you know, they're giving preference to how they felt watching Attack on Titan from the beginning. Again, I think it's a great show, by the way, but yes. And then our brains naturally defend the beliefs that we make. So, here's how I would rearrange this actually, because what we end up with here is a sort of a strange feeling where we start with this really consequential stuff, right? Online disinformation. Then we end with an example that feels less consequential than the information that we're talking about, right? And so we might do something like this and say, fans are biased about Attack on Titan, giving preferential treatment to, you know, whichever characters it is, over, right? Okay, and then let's put this in here. And that in there. And then that here. And so we've got these three things taken care of. And then let's do this. One-sided narratives are dangerous because of confirmation bias. Do we already have emotions are? No, but I don't think we need to get specific with which emotion, because we can also, like, there's anger, but there's also disgust and fear, and then there's like undue love as well. You know, there's more than just the negative. Positive confirmation bias is a problem too. And then confirmation bias and fixed beliefs, we got that, and then the spread of disinformation online. So this is how I would rearrange this, right? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's go back in here and say rearrange the document without changing the wording or adding transitions to go in the following order. And so what do we start with here? We start with example from Attack on Titan, which is 6. Viewers' misunderstanding of Attack on Titan, 7, and then 8. And then danger of one-sided narratives, 5. Confirmation bias and spreading disinformation, which is 2. And we're spreading misinformation, 4. 6, 7, 8, 5, 2, 4. This is kind of an ugly prompt here. Let's see if it works. I have no idea if it will or not. So it's going to rewrite it for us now. This is going to be the same exact document that we had, but it's going to go in this order. So what we did basically was we looked at all the various pieces that we had, and we said, what can we remove to create, still have a consistent narrative, right? And so we'll have this stuff to get rid of. So let's let it finish this up, and then we'll copy it back in and see how many words we're at. Because here we're at 2,424 words. We can go ahead and delete that. Oh, my one key is sideways. Let me pop that off and fix that. It says one, but it's actually backspace. Here we go. Oh, come on, ChatGPT. You can write faster than this. Weak, ChatGPT, he said as it made his job and life easier. So what we'll have when we've done this is a more cohesive whole, probably, and an easier argument to make in this particular order. Oops. But fewer words. So let's get rid of these. Let's add a tab in there. Let's get rid of this. Tab in there. Yep. Let's get rid of this. Tab in there and this. You guys probably really like hearing me say and this over and over again. Apologies. This is what I do when I'm just quietly working by myself too. And then let's go to, we have our works cited page still, and we'd have to go through and make sure, by the way, that we still had all of these things, because we may have deleted some of our sources, which is fine. We'll insert break, page break, our works cited page. All right, well, how many words do we think we're at? Let's find out here. 1,941. All right, good deal. We've made some serious progress. We've cut out how many words? About 500 words. Great. So we're getting there. Let's see here. And we've got to add a few things back in. Still, we'll be at about 500 words. Great. Okay. So we need to go back in through and add our italics here. And what you can do, do I even have a control F on this? I do. Okay, so we can do find and replace. Find. Attack on Titan. Replace with attack on Titan. Can I replace it with italics? No, I'll just have to find it. So we'll go through and it'll highlight it for us though. Mess with that. So we're good there. Okay, great. So the next step that I would take if I were trying to, at this point, is I would probably need to go through and add some and take some away on my transitions to go through these things. And this video is already starting to get a little bit long, and I'm going to have to go pick up my daughter from school soon. So I'm going to go pretty quickly here. I would make sure that the whole thing makes sense, and then I'd come down here. Where's my last paragraph? I would say we can do that. answering logically. Logically, it's human nature to react. Sorry, this is some like line editing that I would do if I'm trying to like lower my word count. And it's probably not super instructive to just watch me go through and do it without me talking about my thought process here. But basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at what each sentence is trying to communicate and its relationship to the whole essay. And I'm turning this into a conclusion by making it more general. And saying this is sort of a more broadly applicable aspect of this. So if we go back to our rearranged version over here, then basically what we're saying is, hey, here's an example of people who formed an opinion based on their emotions, and then they shared that a bunch online, right? And they refused to change their mind, even though the evidence we got later on from watching the show definitely means we should have changed our minds. This is another problem that we see more broadly as people binge watch TV shows and they don't get exposed like through filter bubbles to new ideas, and then they just blanket share that information and they're totally committed to it, and this produces disinformation online, which is a problem we have more broadly as a culture, right? That's the new structure of the paper. And so now I'm making this paragraph, which was setting up a claim to be a bad attack on Titan, now I'm making it the conclusory paragraph here. The bar goes further than passion when you begin to feel attacked because someone this should be beliefs, not behaviors, I think. Showing defensive behavior turns into, I may mess that up. Where's my actual control? There we go. Okay. We need to fix this quote here. Showing defensive behavior follows up with what you believe is true, and then you take actions consistent with those behaviors. Okay, so it's with the defensive behaviors. Okay, these actions carry yelling, talking aggressively, maybe insulting as a last result. People don't just act like this for no reason, as expressing defensive behavior has to come from somewhere. After all, you have to be defending something, so. Okay, now we are, yeah, so that's a conclusion now. That's a conclusion now, and we're down to 1,831 words. So yeah, what I would do is I would go through and I would basically do the same thing with all of the paragraphs that I just did with that one and make sure it lines up. And then what I would do is I would copy this. Actually, I'd probably just go paragraph by paragraph here. And I'd say, please list the prepositional phrases, or please rewrite highlighting the prepositional phrases, because getting rid of prepositional phrases is a good way to shorten stuff up. And let's see if it will copy, because it's really hard to see right here, I think. Let's see if it does that for us. It does. Great. So we've got stuff we can look at and see if we can get rid of it. Can't get rid of that one. We can definitely get rid of this. Okay, cool. So we couldn't remove a lot of that, but in some of the other ones we'll probably be able to. So let's go ahead and take this and then do that to get rid of it, and then go back here to this and delete it. How many words do we save? Oops. Now I've done something. What have I done? Maybe 20 or so? $20 or $30? Yeah. But we're getting there, right? We're 300 words away now. I think we're in a reasonable range. We also may have deleted a few of our sources. Oops, we should go ahead and... Oh, that is on its own page. So we'll need to review the works cited page. But we're getting a lot closer here. And then I would just go paragraph by paragraph, right? And we could also... Let's just check this right here. What? This may be a paragraph we can get rid of. I think we make this point elsewhere. So I'm going to delete that entirely and say, with all emotions coming into play, we didn't even say just with passion, but we'll do this. People don't realize they do not get the full story. They're always, we'll say at least, or multiple sides of the story, whether it has been made apparent to the audience or is left figured out. The majority of the time, people see information that make that plural so it fits, scrape the surface of the story, and only give a snapshot of the events. If only being exposed to a certain part, people can only understand one part of the story. We just made that point, so we need to make it again. Down to 1640. So we've got basically 143 words left to go here, and a lot of room left to move it. So I'm going to stop here and just say that we had most of the pieces. Outlining it like that, having ChatGPT outline it, let us rearrange it and make it a more direct thing. There's still a little bit of revision left to be done here, but I think we're a lot closer to a final product, and we are like 700 words down, which is pretty great. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good one.